This is the video tutorial for the Happy Days table runner with border. You'll need 2 contrasting fabrics. Non-directional pattern works well for this. I'm making a small table runner so you're able to see it clearly on film. However, yours will be much longer than this. Place your fabrics right sides together. Bring your centre fabric to one of the edges, line up, and when you're happy with it, add some clips. Now take it over to the sewing machine and using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, sew all the way along and stop. I've sewn all the way down. As you can see, I've used dark cotton for demonstration purposes. Obviously you'll use contrasting cotton when you do your sewing. Next we've got to bring this edge to this edge. Line up and clip. I pulled over the centre panel to the edge and I've added clips, and as I did before, I'm going to sew all the way along using a 1/4 inch seam allowance and stop. I've sewn all the way down, and once again I've used dark cotton just so you can see it clearly. And next we've got to press open these seams. It is important that you do not press along this edge or along this edge at this stage. Next, turn your fabric the right way out. I've turned it the right way out. It is very important that the amount of fabric that you've got this side is the same as this side, so use a ruler. When you're happy that both sides match, take it over to the iron and press. I've pressed both sides, and now at this stage you need to check that both your edges are nice and straight. You may have to trim them at this stage if your fabric's moved, etc. Now turn your table runner over so you're looking at the back. Turn your fabric over as I've done, and then fold in half, lining up all the edges. Take your time with this, and when you're happy with it, add some clips along the short end. I've moved my fabric up so you can see it a bit clearer. I've lined up all my edges and I've added some clips. Next, I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine and use 1/4 inch seam allowance, sew all the way down to the bottom and stop. I've sewn all the way along and I've snipped the corners, and I'm going to repeat the whole process for the other end. Now open up your fabric . And ensure that this seam lines up with the centre and this side as well. I've put my ruler on so you can see what I've done. It's important that this edge and this edge are square. Now I'm going to take it over to the iron and I'm going to press open this seam and this seam. I've pressed open the seams, and now we've got to turn this the right way out. And do the same for this side. Now turn it over. And then get your finger and press out the point. You might want to use your pointy stick at this stage. I pushed out my two corners and I've pressed it, and now I'm going to take it over to the sew machine and I'm going to sew along this edge. You could use your fancy stitch at this stage if you wish, and I'm going to do exactly the same for this side as well. I've sewn all the way down. The next bit of sewing is to sew in the ditch, and that means follow this line that was formed to the point. I've sewn all the way along. The final bit of sewing is to sew carefully all along this seam on this side and of course on this side. And that's your table runner with border all finished.